Hey everyone, let's continue building the directory listing builder. I actually, on the morning, I already implemented some of the changes that I needed for today, but my Mac crashed while I was recording. So I'm going to explain the file changes that I made. And actually, I'm going to put the gists on here on my GitHub account. I'm going to put the links on the video description. And let me explain what I implemented. First, on the UI, you will see that whenever you search a global query, for example, SaasRock, it takes a while for it to update the URL because it's a debounced search, or how's it called? Yeah, I think it's called the hook use debounce. So it takes a while for the changes to be updated on the URL. And as you saw, it shrinked. It's made the hero section shorter because I want to implement multiple layouts, and one of them is similar to the Airbnb one, that you'll have only this grid. You don't have anything at the top. But I didn't want to get rid of the hero section. And that's another thing that I'm going to do on this video, layouts. Because right now the cards are like, let me clear the search params. The cards are ugly, and we need to improve them based on the directory layout that the user chooses. What else? We have now this attributes filter at the right, but I actually implemented the input filter, how do I call it? Directory filters component from scratch to listen to the listings entity. And that's another thing that I changed, because before, if you remember on the last video, I had an entity for attributes, but that was dumb because the listings have properties, and we were updating the custom tenant properties for the listings in a separate entity. But we have listings, so as a tenant, I should be able to go to settings, entities, and click on listings, and here in my tenant have custom listing properties or attributes. And I created these ones, one for each property type. For example, URL is text, star rating is number, price range is number range, release date is date, type is multi-select with the options frontend and or backend, image is a media property, open source a boolean one, features is a multi-text, and complexity is a single select. Of course, there could be more property types like metadata, like JSON, custom extended nested objects. But for now, I'm gonna maintain the default SaasRock properties on the entity builder. And since I'm leveraging the entity builder, I have all the listings with the rendered value. For example, let me go to my listings and click on SaasRock. Now, I have title, description, and slug as the default for all listings on all tenants properties for the listings. But as you saw, I created these attributes, URL, star rating, and all the way to the bottom. And in order to render them, I use on the directory route, I use a component called row value UI, which I just created. I'm gonna put it in the SaasRock codebase release 0.9.6 or 7. What version? Yeah, 0.7. Because this needs to render depending on the row value type. Like if it's a text, then render, where is text? I think the default is the last one. If it's Boolean, it renders a Boolean cell. Let me show you how it looks like on the card. The Boolean is open source, and it's a check mark or an X icon. But I can actually go to my setting entity for that specific property and change it to, where's open source? Format, yes, no, true, false, enabled, disabled. So let's say yes, no, instead of the check mark, which is the default, and reload. Now I have these yes and no badges. So that's why I wanted to build this with the entity builder to have dynamically displayed this without doing it from scratch. Now, back to the attributes filters. Not every property is filterable. For example, the images shouldn't be filterable. I mean, what are you going to filter? The HTTPS URL or the base 64 string? I don't think so. And so I've removed the ones that don't make sense. For example, I've kept text, number, star rating is a number, but here I am actually rendering a range. Although star rating is not a property type number range, I'm filtering by range. As you can see here, let's see, star rating for SaasRock is 5, obviously. And if I put from 5, it's only filtered that one. And if I go from 1 to 3, it renders view 3 SaasRock. Now, this type is multi-select, so you can select both of them or one of them, and you can see this little count that I implemented. So currently there are 2 frontends and 1 backend left. I can click or unclick frontend, and that renders real time. Now for the open source ones, this is also filterable, as you can see here. Open source true, open source false will give me, well, it's not actually open source, but this is just an example, don't get too excited. And complexity is a single select, so whenever I change the values, I will get the URL replaced with that complexity that I'm selecting. And I implemented 2 layouts for the filters. On this component, directory filters, I'm using now the listing entity, no longer the attributes entity that no longer exists. And I listen to a layout type of sidebar or modal. This is the modal. Whenever I click the filters here, and we have similar to the Airbnb one, where they have each attribute filter, but it's not real time. It doesn't update it real time on the URL. You need to click on show X number of rooms or clear all and then show X number of places. So that's similar to here, but the only difference is that if you click clear all, it clears all the parameters and closes the modal in my implementation. But if I search for SaasRock, it's not updated on the URL. I need to hit apply, and it's now applied on the title parameter. And yeah, I abstracted the filters and categories functionality, filtering by attributes and filtering by categories functionality on these listings utils. So I have these functions: apply category filters, apply attribute filters, and matches and filter, matches or filter, because whenever I'm using like view 3, it doesn't match anything because I'm looking for view 3 but also for this title. So if I remove the title, I get this view 3, and I can use the global search to search for title, description, slug, URL, or anything that is a string, like single select. If I put maybe complex, yeah, this is the complex one. Let's say moderate, SaasRock. So what else do we need to do? On the directory, yeah, we need to decide whether we're gonna use the layout where the filters of the attributes are on the side or on the modal. So maybe we need a directory property called layout, but let me think, how should it be called? Because maybe the layout itself starts from if you want the hero section or not. You just want the listings or you don't want the image background. So maybe layout is for the hero section, and maybe there should be like filters layout or listings layout. I think listings layout sounds better because I'm gonna change all this section, the bottom one, where I have categories, listings, and attributes. I think, yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna close this, and I'm gonna go to my admin settings and go to directories, and this will add another property called listings layout. Yeah, and let's put single select. It's a drop down of, let's put without descriptions, just the descriptions. I mean name and value instead of just name. I'm gonna put how should I call it, categories at the left, listings at the center, and filters at the right, or listing filters in a modal. So I'm not sure, because maybe we can also support, like, instead of cards for each one of these, there could be a table or even a row list, a list of cards, where every listing is one full row. So maybe listings layout is for that instead of the whole functionality layout. So filters layout, I'm gonna call it first filters layout, and it can contain sidebar or modal. Yeah, sidebar or modal. Now let's save, and we need to fill this DTO property on the directory utils on here. We're gonna get this. If it's undefined, we're gonna pick sidebar. I mean, modal seems like the best default one. And let's create that property here. It can be sidebar or modal, and this will give a TypeScript error, so I'm gonna put it as, I can put as any or as sidebar and modal, and I'm gonna use that to listen to if I want it on the modal or here. So this button, which is right here, filters 0, should be only for modal. So I'm gonna put if data item filters layout is modal, I'm gonna render that. And let's see, this sidebar attributes is after the listings, so let's put it here. If it's a sidebar, I'm gonna put it there, and I think that's it. Okay, so right now it's modal, so if I click here, I should be able to filter by maybe type, front-end. I have 2 items with front-end values, and if I click an invalid value, I get no results. So I'm gonna go ahead and check if there are no listings, length 0, I'm gonna create a component. Actually, I'm gonna use Hyper UI Dev because I like this one very much. Actually, I'm gonna start it because I haven't done that yet. And I'm gonna search for empty, oops, there's no empty states. So what do we do? What could we use from here? Grids, nope. Dividers, alerts, drop downs, headers. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna get my component here, so I'm gonna use one that I built, empty state, but I don't like the interface of this one, but it is what it is. No results. So try again, no results found. Okay, now let's put this with width full and with a padding of, with a padding of 16. Let's see how it looks. So maybe I need to put this class name on the div, not on the component. Nope. Oh, it's because I'm putting it inside the grid and it should be outside. Otherwise it counts it as a card. Okay, no results found. I'm gonna close these ones that I don't need anymore and focus on here. So I can put a button to say clear filters, which I think there's an on-click here to clear the filters, delete search params, set search params and put an empty search params to clear all filters, including categories. And we need to, I think there's somewhere here on this component, that's what I said, I don't like the interface. Let's see if by putting the on-click works. Nope, I need the actual component that it's rendered for the on-click. Let me see what it is. Okay, captions, new. I need a new, it shouldn't be new, clear filters. Okay. Clear filters. Okay, but I need to prevent the scrolling reset. I don't like that it jumps. Okay, clear filters, and now it's working. Now, what else can we improve? Well, we can test if, as the directory owner, if I change the layout to sidebar, it's rendered correctly. Yeah, this is the other layout. But actually, do I want to filter by title? Title, description, and slug? Yeah, maybe I can. I guess it makes sense. Yeah. So I think that's done. Maybe I could improve the buttons. I'm gonna go to Hyper UI Dev and search for buttons or for vertical menu to see what's the classes for that. Let's see the class name. So it's like this, and the general is the one that is selected. So I'm gonna select the one below and go to directory filters. No, not filters. This is the categories, so it should be here. This is the button. Let me replace it with this. And I'm gonna check if, well, this is for the all. So I need to do the same thing for the option of the category here. And if it's, what's the only difference? I think the background gray. If it's selected, background gray. Let's try. Okay. But I need it to be text left. All. And do the same thing for the one for all. And let Copilot fill it for me. Okay, currently this is the default view. If I click on Remix, it's selected, and I can go back to all, and you can see the URL is removed. The URL parameter is removed. So what else can we improve here? If I select open source, maybe the attributes should be like the size of the height should be maximum of the width, the height of the screen, instead of scrolling to the bottom, if that makes sense. Because if I have many items, I will want to scroll. Let's see if it works. I'm not sure. I'm gonna go to directory filters. Here's the sidebar, so I'm gonna put it instead of height full, let's try with height 64 and overflow auto to see how it looks. Yeah, this is what I meant, but I'm not sure if this looks nice even when it's height of calc of 100. Let's see. It prevents me from scrolling, but if there are more attributes, I could scroll them. I don't like this, so I'm gonna return it to how it was, height full, and maybe fix it down the road. Now, what else can we improve? The layout of the listings. So let's create an entity property on the directory called listings layout, similar to the filters, but this will be grid, table. Yeah, table. Do I want to support a table? Maybe for now, just grid and rows. Grid, or maybe have grid 3, grid 2, grid 1. Should I do that, or should that be responsive? I think that should be responsive and just have like a default of 3 columns. Grid, rows, and yeah, let's add the table one. And let's save this and do the same thing that I did for the layout for the filters. Go to directory utils and add here listings layout, and the default is grid. Now let's create this property, listings layout. Oh, list is a better naming for, instead of rows, list. So it can be grid, list. Map is also a good addition if I have a property of geolocation that I can implement, or table. Now the default I think should be grid, and I think I've already done it, so let's listen to that. Go to the directory and put the listings here. And actually, I can even put this in a new component and put it wherever the directories components are. Directory listings. I mean, it could be just listings because we can reuse that on category listings. Export default function listings. Now this will receive an interface props of items, which are listing DTOs. And let's get the items here and return a fragment and listen to the current directory, or maybe just layout, which can be grid, list, or table. And put here layout and do it like this. If layout, put it like this, otherwise put the other layouts. And just let's use this component here, replace this with listings, and pass the items, data listings, and then the layout is from the data item, which is the directory listings layout. Now this will return an empty component with just grid. So let's paste what I copy it and fix this. I don't like that when I want to import link, it suggests the Lucid React icon library. I always need to double check that it's importing from remix-run React. This is called items. And here is the directory's log. And since this listing can be accessed, okay, I think I need the directory. But yeah, I think I definitely need the directory. So maybe instead of layout, I will pass down the directory. Directory DTO. And now that I'm thinking, directory DTO has listings, but on the route, I'm returning the listings. So this object will be heavy on the client. So I will fix that in a second. If the directory layout for the listings, and now I can use this directory slug, import this component, directory layout, layout for the listings. And let's go back to the route and fix what I was saying, which is instead of layout, it's directory. Here, I'm passing down the listings items. So maybe I should clear the listings from the directory, or I could just remove it from here because it will be heavy. I think for now, I'm just gonna, before I return the listings, the directory, I'm gonna put it like this. Yeah, I think so. So it's not heavy on the client. Now let's try it. What was I testing? Actually, there's no image for my directory. Did I change it? No, it's here. Oh, I think it's because of my internet connection. Yeah, I think it's so. Yeah, now grid is the default. Now let's change it to something else like list. And going back, okay, let's implement the list. And on the listings component, we're gonna have the same card but expanded. So we don't want to build the same card twice. So I think, or should it be different? I'm not sure. I think it should be different. Yeah. So let's copy paste this and just adapt it for a list. Let's see how it looks. I should do flex call space. Let's try with 2 of spacing. Yeah, this looks pretty bad. So instead of rendering the attributes at the bottom, I'm gonna do a flex row and space X. Actually, flex wrap, and put a little bit of spacing on each one of the item with margin. Still looking like trash, so maybe more spacing, and instead of putting the property name, just the values back in the front end. Yeah, and I think the images shouldn't be rendered like this. So we can either create a layout now for cards. Let me think out loud. This is the default card, which doesn't look nice. But we could have cards to have the first image of the listing as the background. And that feels like a card layout. Cards layout, not a listings layout. Because the listings layout is whether it's create list, or table. But we need a card layout when it's grid or list, because table, it will not render an image on the whole row. Well, let's try building, well, let's fix this for a second and actually exclude the images from being shown, because it may not make sense for now. So on the attributes, I'm gonna filter out the ones that are not property type. It already knows what I'm trying to do because I guess it makes sense. Media, or it's listening to me. Let's see. So now the image is gone. I can, instead of margin 1 on each one of the items, the thing with spacing like this is that whenever it switches to the next line, it will actually push it to the right, as you are gonna see right now, like this one. It gives more spacing, but I guess I could keep it like this with margin 1 or 2 and put a minus margin of 2 to compensate for the overflow. Yeah, and I think mx2 and my1, or even my 0. I mean, maybe 0. No, 1 is okay. And maybe add that line from title, description, and the attributes. Like I could ask divider. Let's see if it puts it right. Like this divider, but with less color. Yeah, I think this looks better. Not the best, but looks better. And for each attribute, it can be grabbed inside a background, like, I don't know, teal, and with a little bit of margin and rounded medium. I don't like this. I'm not the best designer. Text teal. Well, it doesn't look totally bad, but I think I'm gonna remove this, what I'm doing. P2. And maybe a little bit of border teal 200. Well, it doesn't look bad actually, except for this one, the no. So maybe I'm gonna override the entity, I mean the property rendering on the specific open source one. Instead of yes, no, I'm gonna say active, inactive, on and off. Let's remove it to see how it looks. Yeah, maybe this looks better, but it's too small. So I'm gonna override the boolean. I shouldn't have called it cell, but anyways, and add a padding here of 1. Oops, it wasn't like that. So let's try, instead of adding padding, margin, or increasing the size of the icon to 5. But let's try with margin first. Okay, maybe not 1, 0.5. But it's not rendering the what it is. So for this, how should I call it, layout, I'm gonna put yeah, but I don't like overriding outside. Maybe I'm gonna put with title, and this will be, could be undefined, and I'm just gonna override the row boolean cell, so it's a fragment, it's a div, and I'm gonna listen if with title I'm gonna put the property title, and this will be a flex, class name flex space x1 item center. Let's see how it looks. I don't think I will like it. Oops, I didn't save the other file. Open source, maybe not in uppercase. Yeah, I think this medium. Open source, not open source. Maybe the X at the right, I mean at the left. Open source, yeah, doesn't look bad. Now for the other layout, table. Now you can implement your own table, but I have this table simple, but it's the only table component that I built. I thought that I was going to build like table with pagination and table with nested rows, and I just ended up creating this table component, and I need to fill like the headers. The headers are of type listing DTO. Let me show you what it looks, but I'm gonna do it in a separate component, listings table, and I'm gonna pass the same items directory and items function listings table. I need to train it so it knows how it looks like custom headers. So const headers, I'm gonna see how I do it, and do it like this, copy some code here, and instead of having this row header display of type API key logs, if is of type listing DTO, listing DTO, and do the same thing here. I'm not sure if it should be on this use effect, but that's how I always do it. So let's, there's no created at actually. Well, there is on every row, but we don't actually want to render this. So I'm gonna comment this in case I need it later. Put here set headers at the bottom and start adding my headers. And instead of adding, I'm actually gonna put them all here. We know we have a title, and actually on the title column we can actually put the description as well. Flex call, white space, no grab. Where do I use this? Let's see. No grab. No, I'm not looking for that. It's white space pre-grab, I think. I can't remember which one, but anyway, max width of small, and truncate, because we're gonna put here the item title, which we're not gonna truncate, and put the item description, and here we're gonna truncate it, and this of font medium. And what else is, maybe the title should be a link similar to the other ones. And the listing is actually called item. And now that I have my defaults, I need to listen to all the custom attributes. So for each directory, I need, no, what do I need to render the listing attributes? Yeah, instead of having the listing attributes, I need the actual listing entity, because I need to iterate each one of them. So I'm going to pass it from here. The listing entity is from listing entity, so I can use its properties, which are the listings attributes. Listings entity, and my Mac is starting to get slow. Items, headers, yeah. But we were here. So for each attribute properties, we need to pass it here as well. That are not default and actually are not, are only for this tenant, meaning skipping the title, slug, and description. I'm gonna push the value and I'm gonna find the value. It's already on the item. Well, but here I'm on a listing row. So I need to access its value. And for that, I need to find it by, let's see what we have here, by property, name, or ID, attribute name. And we're gonna get that value. Yeah, let's see how it looks. And of course, go as a tenant and update this directory listings layout to table. Refresh. Now we have this table that shouldn't overflow. So I'm gonna put on the listings layout here. What is it complaining? Yeah, the properties. I'm gonna put here that it should not overflow hidden, or maybe auto. It's not doing it, so what could be the reason? Actually, this looks bad. On the listings table, the link should be only an underlined item and not a full card. So it's font medium, and on hover it's underlined. Like that. And maybe the URL could be well, it's okay there. What else? Well, let's fix the width of the table, because this looks awful, and I'm not sure if I should fix it by putting the whole directory home inside an overflow hidden. Yeah, no. Let's try by putting it here, overflow hidden. Nope. Maybe here. Yeah. So it's on the directory route. Whenever I have width full, is the listings, overflow hidden. And now I should have the table. Okay, it's working. But this doesn't look too nice. So let's go to the ones that I like, which are Modal, and I guess list looks okay. Yeah. Well, why is it going to the top? It seems like a bug whenever a filter is set. For example, SaasRock, and I refresh here, it goes to the top. I think it's because of the directory home component that where I added this use search params, that the default search comes from the query. Let's see if by removing that it's not rendered to the top. No, that's not the reason. What could be the reason? Let's see if in the other layout it happens as well. I mean on the grid, to see if it's a layout issue. No, it happens here as well. So it's not this, it's not the layout. I'm gonna fix that when I find it. So currently is looking, I think, good, but this filters button should look like the one on Airbnb. So let's make these filters taller, and this could be like, instead of text small, text large, and here as well text, well, not large, but this could be a hyper UI button like the ones that I use. Button, which one do I like for the filters? I think this one, default. Well, but this renders the arrow. I don't like that. This looks weird. Maybe this one? I guess I'm gonna go to the default one. I don't like to complicate things unless I have to. Class name, and instead of indigo, I'm gonna use the current theme component, current theme value. Well, not theme, because theme I'm gonna deprecate it when I implement ShaadCN, and I'm already doing that in the code base. So I'm gonna use let's try with gray, like that's my default non-theme color. Yeah, but I don't like that it's like this. I'm gonna use the same as the categories. For these buttons, I'm gonna put it here, class name, and I'm gonna add a border of gray. Yeah, simple. And the filters could actually be right beside the results, because this looks kind of weird to be all the way to the right. But maybe it shouldn't look weird when you have many listings. Now, this card I don't like, because it's repeating the attribute titles, like URL, star rating, and whenever you have multiple, it kind of defeats the purpose of the beauty of the cards. So maybe for this category card layout on the listings component, I'm not gonna render the custom attributes, but I'm not sure if that should be, I mean, it was right here. Or maybe there could be a setting on each property whether to be shown on this screen, which is the home. But that I will need to update the schema. If you want me to do that, I can do that. It will mean that the tenant could be updating its listing attributes properties and put somewhere that are hidden. Like, for example, for release date. Let's try with that. If I put it like hidden, whenever I'm updating the release, the listing, there is no longer there. So using that property is not ideal. I should create another one, maybe specifically for this application, instead of having everything on the entity builder side. But let me know what you think. I'm not sure what to do here. And for rendering images, I think images, if they have one, they should be somewhere. And maybe on this default one, that contain no properties. It can be a fixed height. The default one is grid. So if I put like height, let's try with 40. It's taking a while because I have so many screens open. So let's try again. Yeah, my Mac is starting to get slow again, so I may need to complete the video as it is, or maybe restart the server. I'm not sure if I ran out of memory again. While this is loading, let me see. These are categories and these are filters. So this could be another layout. Instead of having the categories at the left, have the categories or the default category at the top, and add all the categories on the filters here. Actually, these look like trash. So maybe I can also implement, instead of having these listings of cards. I'm not sure what to do here because I could implement similar to this one category design, or I could implement a radio group. Let me show you how it would look on the directory filters for select or multi-select, meaning here. Instead of having this button, I could have an input radio group cards where the options are those attributes, name and value, and instead of options, what it is. Yeah, it's options of item DTO, which contains value, name, and color. I have value, name, and instead of set value, I think it's on change. And the options, what is happening here? I need a value of string or number and a name that cannot be null. So like this. Let's see how it looks. Backend, frontend, and let's see if it works. Frontend, apply, and going back, if I refresh, I should have that filter. And same with this multi-select one. I mean, this should be multi-select. So I'm gonna check if the attribute type is multi-select. Otherwise, I'm gonna use input checkbox cards, which is a component that it's already pre-built. I mean, it's already built. And instead of value, what it is? Value can be multiple values. So get all from this attribute and not the string. And instead of set value, on change, and this is an array, and I don't like this array. So if length, I'm gonna put selected. If selected, include, otherwise push it. And yeah, how do I do this? So currently the value is correctly set from the search params or the temp search params, and whenever it's changed, I need to iterate or update the whole temp search params, delete the attribute name, and for each one of them add this value to string and append it. Yeah, I mean, it's already appending, but I think there's an actual there should be another way, easier, but I'm just not thinking of it right now. And if the layout is sidebar, do it instantly. So let's try. Complex, moderate, and easy. Well, but the ones that is multi-select is the other one, so I made this the other way. So for select, radio groups. For multi-select, checkbox cards. But I'm only going to use this if the items are less than, I don't know, 3. No, 6. It's okay, 6. And so I'm gonna put if attribute options more than 6. Otherwise, do this, and otherwise do the checkbox cards. And I need to add a default for null, I think. Nope. The default is checkbox cards, so I need to add another. No, it's okay like that. It shouldn't be null anyway. I have indigo here and teal here. Maybe that's because on the radio group cards I'm using teal or indigo or theme. Yeah, I'm using the theme on the radio group cards, and here I'm using teal. Instead of teal, I'm gonna use theme, so it's the same color. Front end, back end, yeah. So let's try this if this works. Currently front end, back end, and complexity. So complexity, complex, complexity easy, complexity moderate. Yeah, I don't think it's working. And that's the problem with radio groups. So let's clear all and try again. Backend. Okay, it's applied. Now backend and frontend. It works. Only frontend. It works. Clear all and then do it for a single select. Now easy and moderate. Now let's use frontend, backend, and moderate SaasRock. Okay, it's working. And we need a little bit of spacing between this. Whenever it's clear all, I need more spacing on the attribute list. So padding to the bottom. Let's try with 10. Yeah, like that. And clear all, I'm gonna use a hyper UI button. Or actually I can use my own clear all instead of having button secondary, which is the SaasRock default one for secondary, and button primary. These later will use ShaDCN implementation, so you can safely use them. Apply, yeah, clear, and maybe a title at the top whenever is the layout. If layout is modal, I want a title. Filters, but maybe the filters are before the filters. What's it called? Title, and with a little bit of spacing to the bottom. Yeah, but it messed up the current scrolling. So I think on my directory, instead of having this calc minus 200, let's try 250. Okay, now no scrolling issues, but yeah, I think this works. Now let's see if open source works. Yeah, not open source, clear all, and go to the other listing layout, which is list, app, Acme Corp, directories, and edit this one. I know this is not the best UI when editing, like the directory with its categories and its listings, but that's what the entity builder offers out of the box. You can override specific things. It's really flexible if you want to go to that route. I want to use the list. So let's see. This is not open source, so why, when I put open source to true, it filtered? No, it didn't filter it, so it's okay. Front end and back end. Yeah, because Svelte is only front end. And actually, this is using the option name value instead of the name. We should have here what we put on the listing property called type. We have this value and this name, and it should use the name. So what's happening here, maybe it's a setting that the default, yeah, I don't think it's here. Multi-select, let's see how it renders on row value UI component. Let's see the multi-select one, row, multiple value batch. So it's putting the values. Yeah, I need the name, but I don't have it here. Why is that? Values, row value multiple. Okay, so maybe this component needs to be overridden, similar to the one that renders the select, that needs its options and has a current custom display, like we want to display the name or the value or both. So for multiple value, I'm gonna do a quick fix that is going to go to the core, that I need the options similar to the one in select. Where are my options? Item DTO, and the item DTO is here. I'm gonna change it to option DTO, and I'm gonna remove color for now. This can be of options, and then I'm gonna get the names. Get names. Function get names, or get selected names, and I'm gonna return names, and I'm gonna iterate the values, and for every value I'm gonna find the option. Maybe that's why it didn't auto-complete it correctly, because I didn't have this on the scope. So let's see if it gives them the names this time. Get names, return value. Yeah, I need to do it by hand. So I'm gonna find the option, and if it's existing, I'm gonna put the option name. Otherwise, the value. Option name. And here, instead of iterating the values, I'm gonna put it like here, like this. Get selected names. Yeah, I think that should do it. Now let's just update it like that, and we should have front end correctly set. Okay, similar to this one, easy. But that surprised me, because that's a select field. This one, single select. And here I should have this format, like name, value, name and value. I just want the name. Let's see if that works. Yeah, maybe the default should be the name. So I'm gonna go here, and the display is not value, is name, but by default. And whenever it's name, let's see how it renders the option. Whenever it's name, if it doesn't have a name, it won't put anything. That's why value is the default. So let's see if there's one that falls back. Yeah, there's no fallback to the value. So I'm gonna put option name or option value. Why is it an error? Yeah, I think this should be the default, like name, don't you think? Okay, for the prices, I can actually, I don't know what this for means. I think this is the stars. So let me see if I implemented previously a format of, yeah, rating. Let's see how it renders it. Okay, it doesn't look bad, but I want it to be a little bit taller. So I'm gonna go to row and search for type number, and go to row number cell and search for rating badge. And here I'm gonna give a padding of 1. Well, maybe instead of here, I'm gonna go directly to the listing where I put the border teal here, and I'm gonna listen to the, if it's attribute property type number, I'm gonna do a little bit of padding. Let's see how it looks. It's not doing it. Where did I put this? Oh, I put this on the list. Yeah, but I'm on the list. Let's add 10 padding just to see if it's rendering correctly. It's not doing it, so maybe margin. Yeah, margin works. Okay, I will fix that later. I don't want to make you lose time with minor details like this one. But it's starting to look good, I think. Of course, we can create more layouts for different rendering. Oh, I just remember that we were going to implement the images. And actually, there should be a filter for the layout of the listing. No, I don't think so. We can add that in the future. Like, what layout do you want to see? And it's select. Let me show you how it would look. On here, this will be a flex item centers, so it has spacing between both of them, and I will have a select that input selector that currently has the value of the data item filters layout, and the options are nope, these are filters layout. No, it's not filters layout, it's listings layout, and this can be of type grid, list, or table. And just like that, on change the layout instantly. I mean, on set value. I'm sorry to not have used the on change. I don't know why I put it like this, on change value. I should have used the default naming convention. But anyway, set layout. If it does not contain a value, I'm gonna remove the layout. And this is if you have a property on a listing called layout, that's a problem. So I'm gonna call it L. And yeah, it doesn't interfere with future pagination query parameters. I don't think so. So let's see if this works. But actually, I'm gonna listen to this L and update the item directory layout if it contains if search params has L, and if it's one of these, I'm gonna put the listings layout like this. So let's see if it works. Okay, but I don't like that it disappeared. Instead of input selector, I'm gonna use input select, which is like a default select component. Okay, but this needs to be flex grow. So yeah, not like this. Sometimes it fixes itself when I put everything in a div. Let's see if this works as well. Okay, it works. But here, I don't like that it kind of overflows or cuts. So I'm gonna add a padding on this whole component of 1. And this should be a flex justified between, but items center, because it bugs me that it's a little bit at the top, the results. Now, if we go to table, it's now a table, a grid, and a list. Okay, the filters. What else can we do before moving into the next route? Well, let's see, how long is this video now? 1 hour. Let me see if I can think another quick thing. Let's see if it works like this. Svelte. Yeah, it works. By removing it, it works. The layout is stable. So if I refresh, oops, I should have a the table. And if I add like from 5 stars, SaasRock, and I can't, I should have a button to remove all the filters if there is any. So let's see, class, instead of having these, yeah, below here. No, maybe only for modal, or for everything. Yeah, only for modal. So I'm gonna put this inside a div, and I'm gonna add another flex space x2 item center, and the button, it will be clear filters. Let's see if Copilot helps me. Nope. Clear X icon. It's not helping me at all. So I need to type it from scratch. So it's a button that on click, I need to clear all parameters, all filters, I mean, and instead of having a text, I'm gonna add an X icon with this width and height. But I'm only gonna show that if search params to string is not empty. Well, but if I go to table, I have this. So this maybe should be a function that has category or attribute filters. And I'm gonna put this function here. Categories. Let's try with that. So only when I have an attribute filter, apply, I should have this X or a category. Yeah, but I don't think it works for numbers. Yeah, because this should be like this, min or max. So it's min or max or the default name. That's clear. Yeah. What else? What can we do here? Maybe the search bar could be here as well. And of course, we can start with adding the promoted badges or featured, and maybe featured order. So whenever a user goes to this list directory, it can register or just pay for an existing listing, or submit a listing, or claim. Yeah, I don't think I will be able to do that in these few hours, because it's currently 1 a.m. here. So I'm gonna leave that for tomorrow, and I think the video is complete. We touched filters and the layouts for the filters, the listings, and the cards. No, we didn't touch cards. Yeah, let me do that before I close the video. I wanted to add the image, like for example on the grid. So if there's an image, I'm gonna put a background image on the listings. Let's see, where's the grid? Here. So for every listing, I'm gonna find if there's an image that starts with nothing, and I'm gonna check if there's an attribute. Actually, I'm gonna get all media files. Yeah, filter first to get the media, and then a flat map of the media, the value media, or empty. And then for the media, I'm gonna do another flat map of the file itself, and the file I'll return the public URL if it's stored, or the file base64 file. Now these are strings, so if there's more than one, I'm gonna take the first one, and whenever there's a first one, I'm gonna put this with relative, so I can put the image. If there's an image, absolute, close it, and let's put the alternate text for the current listing, which is listing title. Let's see how it looks. Okay, but maybe we need like the title below. So instead of having the link, I mean, it's nice to have a link on the whole component, but the card could have a class name with spacing of 2, and if there's an image, I'm gonna put the title here, listing title, and this will be a font bold. Whoops, this is because the links doesn't do too well with let's try put this class name here instead of on the link itself. But where's my image? I mean my title. Relative, let me put it at the top. If there's an image, I'm gonna put the title. Where's my title? Font bold, border gray. If I should have my image somewhere. I mean my title. Let's see the HTML here. Here's the title. Okay, so it's relative to the card. And I don't like it, so I'm gonna put the title outside the card component. With a spacing of 2. Space 2. Truncated. But on mobile, on the grid, we should only have well, we're on mobile, so maybe start with 2, and when it's medium, go to grid calls 3. So we don't have this problem. Well, we are getting this problem, grid calls. So until it's medium 2 and until it's large 3. Okay, looks kind of better, but we have the problem of this truncating. So we either disappear the results text on mobile, or all the text, or remove the categories and move them inside the modal. So instead of just having the attributes, move everything inside the modal when it's on mobile. Yeah, we can do that, but not right now. Currently it's getting late, and maybe the title of the listings for this layout should be at the bottom if there's an image. And if there's not an image, it will look weird. So you either have it required or not required. Because let me show you, let me update the listing. Let's remove the one from Svelte. Remove it. Oops, it's required. So first, I'm gonna go to image and put it, it's not required, and reload. Remove the image and save it and refresh. Where's my, it didn't delete it. So there seems to be a bug on editing an image and it's not deleting it. Yeah, I introduced a bug. Okay, I think it's because it's required. And it has a value, so it doesn't, I mean, it started as required, and I think that's the reason it's not doing it, but it's a bug nevertheless. Now, what was I going to do? I may have this card in a group, so when there's a group hover, there's an underline. Like that, and maybe no, yeah, I think this looks fairly well. So this is the default layout. We can change it, of course, and we have the filters, we have the categories, and we can actually create layouts for the hero section, like you want the background image or not. Yeah, let's end the video with that. Going to my admin entities, going to the directory layout. How should I call it? Hero or a landing? I think it's called, I'm gonna restart my server because I think I ran out of memory on my Mac. It should be called home layout. Yeah, maybe home layout or hero layout. Home hero layout. But that sounds too complicated because I'm thinking in future pages like categories. Well, but the categories can have their own layouts. No, but it should come from yeah, my Mac just ran out of memory and I can keep coding, but tomorrow I'll do what I said I was going to do, which is create the submit as a guest, a submit listing, pay to promote, so the tenant can create Stripe products or prices that guests can pay to create accounts, or create accounts and then pay to promote a listing or to get featured. I don't know the difference between the two. I think from promoted, it's like it's moved to the top, and featured is like in a featured section. And then we have the problem that users that register on a specific boilerplate directory will be a user in the whole database of all directories of all tenants, but will have a custom model for relationship between the user and the directory, not the user and the tenant, but the user and the directory. So like an end product of a tenant, and that will be custom, but that could be reusable for other cases like a marketplace. Think of like Gumroad, where you have your own page like mine, and I can manage my Gumroad page, but this is my front marketplace where users can click and can buy my stuff and get access to my stuff, and this acts like products of my page, and my page in the directory listing builder is a directory. I don't represent this page as my tenant, although in the case of Gumroad is my account. So that may be somewhat complicated, because users can be like for a tenant for covering multiple cases, but if a tenant wants to have multiple directories for multiple cases that don't relate to each other, they may not want the same users accessing both of them. They may want users registering on each one of them. But okay, let's just end the video with that. And this project is complicated, but I like it because I'm using the entity builder and I'm liking the abstraction. So whenever I want to use custom database, as you're seeing right now, on the filters, you need to do that filtering yourself. And the good thing with the entity builder is that there are many already implemented things like range numbers, range dates, multi-select, single select, and there are different rendering of the things like cards or combo boxes or drop downs, text fields. But yeah, I agree that coupling too hard on the entity builder may bite your ass on the future. But I'm bullish on the entity builder. I mean, Notion is an entity builder. Airtable is an entity builder. Every no-code tool is an entity builder. So the more I improve it, the better your applications will be, because, or not better, the faster you will develop your applications. Because I still think that custom code is the best solution, because no code hits a wall at a certain point. So thanks for watching, and see you tomorrow or Sunday. Thanks.